Good morning YouTube, it's another beautiful day in Napier and it's the 5th of October 2015. It's supposed to be good weather all week. Daytime temperature is supposed to be a high of around 16 to 20 all week. Overnight of about 8 degrees, so we're definitely getting well out of winter now. So in the meantime I've decided to do a more in-depth review of my rucksack, my British Army Bergen. I've done a sort of a short review on it before, but I've been using it for several months now, and I've decided that it really deserves a more detailed review. Before I bought this, I had a look on YouTube, several times looking for decent reviews of the British Army Bergen, but I could only find two that really showed any kind of information at all, and they weren't that detailed. They explained a lot of things that they assumed people took for granted, and so I've decided today that I'm going to discuss the British Army Bergen in as much detail as I can. So I bought this about 6 months ago, and one of the reasons why I bought it was because the pack that I had been using up until then was about 50 litres, and it just wasn't holding all the gear that I needed, and so I wanted a larger capacity space. The other thing is, I really don't like carrying stuff on the outside of my rucksacks, like tying sleeping bags and mattresses and stuff on the outside, because the bush here in New Zealand is a lot more dense than it is in Europe, from what I can tell, because there's a lot of pine forest in Europe. Underneath where you're hiking, it's largely clear from the videos that I've seen, but here it's not like that. If you leave a track and head bushwhack into the bush itself, there's a lot to get snagged on, a lot of undergrowth. So having stuff hanging around on the outside of your pack, it can get wrecked really easily, and you can get caught up, and when you're exhausted climbing uphill through dense scrub, it gets really frustrating if you keep getting caught up on vines and small branches and stuff like that. So my first philosophy was, I want everything inside my pack, and what that means is buying a large pack. So if you buy a conventional pack, something like an Osprey, you're going to pay a lot of money for a high volume pack. Here in New Zealand you're looking at $400, $500, $600, which is a lot of money for a pack that is made of material that can't really stand a very rugged treatment. If you're bushwhacking and you're getting caught up on branches and stuff a lot, fumbling around and scrambling over rocks and everything, a large pack made from conventional synthetic materials isn't going to last very long, and destroying a pack that cost you $400, $500, $600, it's just not sensible. So the first option really is to buy Army surplus, because the thing about Army surplus more than anything is it's built very rugged, and it's designed specifically to withstand a lot of bad treatment. So that was my first concern, having everything inside the pack instead of stuff hanging on the outside. So I need a large volume pack and having a pack that's made rugged. So the third thing is, of course, Army surplus is cheap. This cost me $120 New Zealand, which is like a quarter or a fifth of the price that I would have to pay if I bought a new conventional sized rucksack, a large volume one. So you get large volume, you get rugged construction for really a price that's just can't be beat. So this rucksack was made in 1997, so it's quite an old one, but considering that it was issued and has been used. It's not new army surplus, and the material has obviously faded. Virtually nothing wrong with it. None of the stitchings come undone. There's no tear in the fabric anywhere. There's no kind of wear at all, except in one place which I'll show you later, which is virtually insignificant. So for a pack that old, $120, that's got no damage done to it, and obviously when I'm using it, it's not going to get anywhere near as bad treatment as it would have in the military. That's an unbeatable way of choosing material. I believe a lot of people, when they first buy army surplus, they buy it primarily because it's cheap. They want to get into hiking or camping or bushcraft, buying the cheapest gear they can first just to test the ground, and so army surplus is often a choice simply because they want cheap material. But a lot of people then find that it's bulky and heavy and that they want lighter gear, because one of the things about this pack for sure is that it's not light. It is nowhere near the ultralight category. When you pay $400, $500, $600 for a large conventional modern constructed pack, you're paying for the benefits of ultra lightness, and those packs weigh less than a kilo often. This pack here weighs just over 2.5 kilos. So the reason why this pack is so heavy is that it's constructed from 1000 denier cordura, and it's lined on the inside. After the material is weaved, it's coated with silicone to waterproof it. And so this is an idea of what that material is like. That's the weave on the outside, and you can see on the back there is no stitching. That's silicone rubber. So this is a piece of a reasonably new pack that I bought, a Daypack, that was a knockoff of a Maxpedition pack that I wrecked it the first time I went out. So I basically dismantled it, taken off all the zips and all the hooks and everything, and kept it for myself. So while this is a very new version of that waterproof 1000 denier cordura, it's almost exactly the same as the stuff that these packs are made out of. And of course the later models of these packs are made out of exactly the same stuff as this. But although all the inside of everything here is waterproofed, the stitching will still let water in. If you are hiking all day in the rain, that stitching is going to leak. So you still need either an internal dry sack to store everything in, if you're going to be spending a lot of time in the wet, or you need a rain cover. The preference for most people I'm aware of is to use dry sacks on the inside rather than a rain cover. But there is another issue, that because this material is so dense, even though it's waterproofed on the inside, the outside canvas will absorb a lot of water. So if you're standing around in the rain or hiking in the rain, the webbing and this canvas could probably take on a kilo of water when it's soaked. So it's still, in my opinion, valuable to have rain cover rather, because you're already carrying a lot of weight anyway because of the material that the pack is made from. You don't want to add to it by having the material soaked in the rain. So those are the basics. This is said to be a 90-litre pack, but the way I've got it put together here, you wouldn't get 90 litres inside of there. That's probably about 60 litres, maybe 70 the way it's set up now. But you'll see that the straps that are attached to these front clips are so long that they're designed for the hood to go right up, and you can stick a whole lot more stuff under there. So that 90 litres includes, in a manner, overpacking the pack so that it ends up really long. But the value of that is you can treat this like a 50 or 60 litre pack, tie it down firmly, and it will be nice and tight and snug, and it will ride perfectly. Or you can overpack it with heaps of stuff if you need to. So it serves the purpose of a large pack as well as a medium-sized average pack, which is another thing I like about it. It's specifically designed to function in that kind of a way. So of course, apart from the internal volume, which is basically what they call like a bucket pack, it's just one large single compartment of about, I would say, 60 litres up to the brim before the nylon wet cover. You can get about 4 litres in the top here, plus underneath there's another zip open pouch which you can get about another 2 litres in. You've got about 1.5 litres or 2 litres in this little front pack here, front pouch. Plus this pack is specifically designed to add 2 side pouches onto it, which are called rocket pouches or just simply Bergen side pouches. So we can see here that the manufacturers have constructed this pack so that there are zippers on the side under these little flaps, and there's a flap here at the front that has another zipper. So running down each side full length are 2 zippers, plus you have these plastic buckles, 2 at the top and there's 2 underneath at the bottom, and you have compression straps, 1, 2, 3, and I've added these compression straps here simply because when they're not on, these flaps stick out and they get a little bit annoying. And like I say, if you're crashing through the bush, hiking off the track where there's a lot of dense scrub, these are the kinds of things that easily get snagged on branches. So I've added 1-inch webbing that goes through these molle loops on the front flap and wraps all the way around the back and attaches to the molle straps on the other side, and I've secured those with plastic like belt buckle clips so that I can adjust the length of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'll show you how these side pouches, these rocket pouches, fit. So when I bought this pack, it came without the rocket pouches. They were selling the packs just by themselves, and so I had to go to another army surplus store in the country who sell the side pouches, but they don't sell the rucksacks. And all the side pouches they have are olive drab, so I couldn't get DPM, destructive pattern material, camouflage, the same as the rucksack. So I ended up with 3 olive drab side pouches. Doesn't bother me at all, it's just a little bit annoying. So see these packs here, these side pouches, on the back they have 2 female buckles at the top and 2 at the bottom, and a zip down each side, as well as sort of like molle loops at the front. So this one here has already been zippered on, zip, and under there, and I don't need to, but I've clipped them on as well. The other option you have is, if you don't want to attach that way, if you want to be just real quick about it, the compression straps that are in behind this pack, you can thread them through these molle loops and just hold these side packs on. It's not a very sturdy way of doing it, but you can do it that way. So there are 3 ways of attaching those side pouches Now the side pouches themselves with nothing in them weigh 250 grams, so they're not light either. So if you actually use the side pouches, you're adding, if you use both of them, you're adding another 500 grams, half a kilo, to the weight of your pack just to put containers on the sides. But in doing that, if you add, these are 10 litres each, these side pouches, and if you add them on, you're adding another 20 litres, a potential 20 litres to the amount of volume that you can carry, which in a way, ideally, in potential, is extending the volume of your pack to 120 litres. Now, when I first bought this pack and I was thinking about volumes and weight and all that kind of thing, 120 litres seems extremely excessive to me. But I can tell you now, if you're going hiking for a week where there's nowhere to resupply for that week, 120 litres is not a stupid thing, especially if it's in the winter and you've got a large sleeping bag to stuff inside here. You're going to need that 120 litres. But I really use them, and this one, as you can see the way I had it there with the compression straps I put on, I just tuck it up against the side, flatten it all out, and compress it down so it's there that I can use it. Because it's waterproof, you can actually use this like a little bucket and fill it up with water if you want to. You can use it as a sink to clean things in, and you can also, the way this pack is constructed, the way the internal volume works, two of these packs, if you zip them both together, will fit inside and only fill about 2/3 of the volume of the pack. So you can store a whole bunch of stuff in there and slide them down inside your pack, and they're a really good way of keeping gear compartmentalized and separated. And if the gear that you're putting in these is wet or dirty, it stops the inside of the pack and the other things in the pack getting dirty as well. So it's another benefit. You can actually fit 4 of these inside here, 2 vertical and 2 one on top of the other, and that will give you virtually your whole volume there, which is another reason why I don't believe these packs are really 90 litres, even though they advertise them, because if that's 10 litres like they say, you can get 2 of them in there, there's 20, you can get another 2 on top, that's 40, you can get about another 3-4 litres in the top lid here. That's only half of the volume that they're advertising it to be, so, but it's still a large, big volume pack. Now the lid, you can see here that there's bungee on the side to keep that tucked in tightly around the top. You can also see that this top lid here, it's not small, it's quite large, and it has a zip on this side here. All the zippers on these packs are YKK, so they're really strong, but it also means because the teeth are large that they'll let water in if you're in the rain for a long time. So again, you know, a rain cover is an important thing to consider, and a rain cover for a pack of this size, you know, for a full size pack, 60, 80, 90 litres, is not cheap. In New Zealand you pay $40, $50 for a rain cover that will cover a pack of this size. Let's talk about the back now. Really thick straps, you know, like I said, this pack is made in 1997, it's obviously had a lot of use, and the straps are not worn at all, they're not worn through, they're still spongy. There's a lot of cushioning there, it's not just a short amount, there's a little bit of molle on here to attach knives or small pouches. You can see that the padding in the back is in a bunch of sections down here, and when I first looked at the back padding, because this is one of the first things I consider about a pack is, you know, what's the internal frame or external frame like, and what's the cushioning like. This is really, really comfortable. It's as comfortable as the most comfortable packs I've ever worn on my back, so I have no complaints about it. There's a bit of a strap down the bottom here on both sides, so you can actually add a lumbar support in here and a larger strap if you want to. Bit of padding on the edges, 2-inch webbing for your belt with large snap lock buckles. So all of that's rugged. Large carry handle. I've never seen a carry handle that big or that well constructed on any other kind of pack apart from military packs. There are also like molle loops here, 2 on the side. You've got 4 on the lid as well, so that you can strap other stuff to the lid, and I've added a bungee to the top of that. So let's have a look inside now. So the first important thing about the inside is that you have a cord for cinching in the main canvas bag that goes around the top, and is held by one of these kind of buckles where you slip that down or up and move it. So they're not the best kind you can get, but they're a little bit more rugged and last a bit longer than the ones that have the little spring inside. Then you have about a foot of this polyester top cover that also has its own cord. And then inside the lid you have another inside pocket, which is really, I think, designed as a document pocket. Because it's under that outside pocket, it's far more waterproof than the top pocket, so it's a good place for keeping maps and anything that you don't want to be getting wet. Another interesting thing to point out about British Army Bergens is that there's now another company that make these Bergens that are similar to these, called Webtex. As far as I understand, they are a British company, but I think they get their gear made in Asia, and they make a medium-sized version, I think, and a small-sized version of the Bergen that's almost exactly the same design but smaller in volume, designed for the military as well. I don't know whether they really get used in the military. They cost a lot more because they're new and they have more modern materials in them. But I think that from most reviews that I've seen of Webtex gear, it's not made as well. And apparently there are comments coming out now that their attention to detail and making has actually got worse in the last couple of years. So if you're not sure about the difference between a British Army Bergen and a Webtex Bergen, like what you're actually looking at, inside the lid of a British Army Bergen there's a manufacturer's label here and a stamp, I think, which is the date that it was issued. So this one is given by the military, this one is put on here by the manufacturers. As far as I understand it, that's the way it's worked. And there are 2 versions of the British Army Bergen. There's what they call a long back, which is skinnier and taller, and that's what this is, and a short back, which is shorter, wider and deeper. So one of the things that you'll see when you look at the label is that the first thing at the top is this says Rucksack long convoluted. So it also tells you what camouflage design is on it. I understand that the British Army and the New Zealand Army as well, which is a branch of the British Army more or less, have redesigned the camo for their clothing and their packs to be more Americanized and up to date, and so these DPM pattern, you probably won't see them, although they may just decide to do the American version of DPM. That is the American version, which is, you know, it's pretty difficult to tell the difference, although there is a slight difference. and the Webtex basically do the same. They do an olive drab version. I think they do the like a Americanized sort of multicam version, as well as the DPM woodland type camouflage. So internal pocket, which holds about 2 litres, but it's very flat. Like if you've got the pack full and the lid full, you're not going to get anything bulky in there. Now if we look at the part of the inside of the pack that's up against your back, at the top here there's 3 snap buttons and Velcro, and when you undo it you have an aluminium internal frame in there, which can be bent to fit the mould of your back. When I said before that there was a little bit of damage to this pack, the only damage is these little plastic things that are on the end of the bars. Some of them have come off because they've worn. So they fit into the back of the pack in 3 slide down like pockets. And that leaves you with this whole compartment here that you can put larger items in. I actually put a grill for my fire down inside here because it's flat, but you could put a kneeling mattress that you use at your campsite, or a water bladder in there, although there's no these packs are really designed before water bladders were used, I think. Although the pipe can come out here, these, you know, these weren't designed for a water bladder, but you could put one in there. Now, just to give you a kind of rough idea, when I first had the pack sitting up here, I had it stuffed full of stuffing, and just so you can see the volume of gear that you can get in there, that's what I had stuffed inside the pack to hold it out, hold its shape. Now the side pouches, one of the other value about having those side pouches that you can attach to the side of the pack is that they are specifically designed also that if you zip 2 of them together, they also provide you with a yoke system, which converts those into a pack. Basically, they clip at the top, clip at the bottom, there's a waist belt that goes around, and then you have a 20 litre day pack. You can also buy camelbacks, which have these buckles at the top. Webtex make them, as well as ones made for the British Army. The Webtex ones are 2 litres, I think, and the British Army ones are 2.5 or 3 litres. So that instead of the rocket pouches on the side, you can clip on 1 or 2 camelbacks. So there's another benefit. Some army surplus places which sell these packs also sell them with the side pouches, and sometimes with the yoke as well, to turn it into a day pack. So if you're getting a cheap deal on the side pouches, the yoke and the rucksack, that just adds to the value of the whole thing. They're not only rugged and cheap, but they're easily accessible. And I would say now that the British Army and the New Zealand Army are changing all their regulations for their gear, especially the camo, and slightly on the construction of their packs, there's going to be a lot of second-hand ex-British Army surplus gear flood the market properly. So that's the British Army Bergen. I started off a little bit suspect of the weight of it and the volume, but honestly the fact that this pack is 2.5 kilos on its own with nothing in it, and that it's huge, no longer bothers me at all. I honestly don't notice it. It's really a matter of if you're going to hike a lot and camp a lot, simply get fit enough to carry them. The military managed to do it, and they carry a lot more weight in these things than I do, and it serves their purpose perfectly. This pack's going to last a lifetime virtually. It already has lasted half a lifetime, and before I got it, and I don't think I honestly would buy anything else unless I wanted another smaller pack that was super light just for short hikes where I don't have much weight on my back. But cost for me is a big concern. I really don't like the idea of spending hundreds of dollars on gear which can get wrecked with the kind of camping and hiking that I like to do myself. So Army surplus and good Army surplus is definitely a value. British Army Bergens aren't available everywhere, but now that we have the internet, you can buy them no matter where you are in the world. There are lots of British Army surplus suppliers who sell these things in all varying states of condition. Very old ones that have been very roughly treated that you can get for virtually nothing, that are a good first buy if you're just getting into hiking, camping and bushcraft and you want to just test yourself out, see whether you really want to stick to it and invest more money. Or there are, like a mate of mine who originally put me onto these packs, the one that he bought from the UK had not been issued, and it was 2007 model. Looks exactly the same as mine, same design, and even though it's like nearly 10 years younger than mine, but it's never been used. It's in absolutely perfect condition, and I think he paid more or less the same price that I paid for it. I think he might have paid around £55 for it, British pounds. So there we are, side pouches or rocket pouches, the yoke, and the 90 to 110, 120 litre British Army longback Bergen. Thanks for watching, and hopefully in 2 days I'll be back on the trail again for an overnighter, at least an overnighter or a couple of nights. Again, thanks for watching. Please remember to share, subscribe and comment below. Have a good one.